Hello, so I've got two books to show you, and I'm calling them nature forms because they are full of papers with different shapes that you can find in nature and different things, insects and things in the water and things in the meadow and stuff like that. So the cover is made out of this thick canvas fabric that I hand dyed brown. It's got different patches on it, unevenly hand dyed, and um, and this is eco printed wool that I printed myself. It's 100% wool. It was a woolen blanket. Then it's got a brass plate, book plate there, and the back is like that. I have stitched around here. I sewn this on the machine. I embroidered some seeds in it. It reminds me of a tree and those holes that you can sometimes find in the trees where birds live. And this one looks like that. This one's got green seeds here and leaf, another leaf, all different colors, greens, yellows, browns, all come from the eco dyeing, from the colors of the leaves, and some embroidery here as well. They have 5 signatures each. They are 23 centimeters tall and 15 or 16 centimeters wide, so they're quite a tall book. They have William Morris papers, the end papers, and these signature wraps, and this is a pocket made out of dried plant that I ironed in, sealed in waxed paper with beeswax. So this is quite interesting texture. Here is a pocket made out of lace that I dyed. Many fabrics are thrifted. All the book pages are original as usual. Different papers and printing. This is jelly printing of some plants that I printed straight into the pages. We've got all different papers. This is handmade plant paper, a vintage page, and this is what I'm talking about, nature forms. These are like close-ups of things that live in the sea, organisms, and we've got big envelope with bird feathers. This is a beautiful vintage natural history paper that I made this from, and hand dyed orange paper. This is another print on this thin parchment paper that I made, stencil. This is a monoprint that I made on eco-dyed piece of paper with, this is from real a plant, obviously. I monoprinted it. It's lovely. Now this is a pocket with stenciling. This is a fabric that I rusted, dyed and printed with these grasses. You can see the details. This is a pocket on another beautiful paper. This is a collage, paper collage that I printed over, made it into a pocket. Here is another print, a vintage mushroom paper, coffee dyed graph paper, fish vintage paper, Japanese paper, and here we have the middle of the signature. This is hand dyed 120 GSM drawing paper and a vintage page made into a pocket. The ends are finished with these metal beads. So vintage book page, more stenciling. Here is the back of the signature too, with all these nature forms. Again, vintage illustration of the forms in nature. Here is another print made by me of Queen Anne's lace on linen or cotton sort of fabric canvas. Here is a pocket with craft paper. Here is another of my prints on this pergament paper. It's see-through but quite strong. Here we have some exotic fruits, like, you know, nature sort of forms. This is tracing paper that I printed with some plants. Here is vintage nature illustration book page, another of my prints book page, and this is a print that I made on brown paper, and here is a specimen. So here is what it is. This is an illustration, vintage illustration, and here is the actual specimen that I collected and dried and glued to this page. So that's there. Here you have Queen Anne's lace stencil, vintage book page, lined paper, drawing paper. That's a heavy paper, 120 GSM. More sort of food plants, vintage book page, and eco print on watercolor paper made into a pocket. Here with sewing. Here we have some forms in the sea. That's another vintage natural history vintage paper pocket with stencil. Another of my prints, different textures, handmade papers, book pages, dotted paper, vintage map, another print. And here we have another vintage illustration from Heckle. That's the artist, and it's absolutely beautiful. I printed it on this yellow, well, sort of magnolia card, and it came out really beautiful. The colors made it into a pocket. Stenciling. So it's all sorts of nature forms and vintage papers I could think of. This is done with hand-dyed fabric and bleach. It's like flowers. It's a pocket. Another hand-printed, another print made into a pocket, and here is another of my prints. Another of my prints sewn on this. So it's not just this paper, so it's got more interest. Here we have another natural history paper with different mosses, close up, graph paper with stencil, little pocket here, and print that I made on this page. Vintage book page with mosses, paper, print. Ooh, Chinese paper there. Oh, I don't know what's that doing there. It's like a moth that I made the stamp and printed on a piece of fabric. I don't know why it's there. It can stay there. I might make a journaling card from it and include it in the book. Why not? And this is an eco print that I watercolored over because the leaf wasn't very prominent. So I did some art, sewn it onto this page so you can write something underneath it. Here we have a vintage page with mushrooms, natural history paper with eggs made into a pocket. Here is the other side of the mushroom page from a vintage book. Coffee dyed yellow page, and my print and Chinese paper. It's actually from China, that's why I say Chinese, because it's for Chinese calligraphy. Here we have some mosses, vintage page, pocket, bird in a nest with his eggs, another lace pocket, and here is a pocket that I made and from a collage that I collaged some paper together, stitched it, printed on it, and here is another sort of tag, and that's the end. And the book is 3.5 centimeters wide, nearly 4, so it's a long, not thin, but thinner than usual book. It's got 5 signatures, about 250 pages front and back, and it's got 4 centimeter spine. So here is the other one. We've got all different leaves and colors from the eco printing. I hope the camera is picking it up. I think it's beautiful. We've got different William Morris paper there. It's sort of like art deco. We've got this waxed plant again. Sorry, baby is watching TV and whinging. Pocket, vintage page, this monoprint again. I didn't tell you that the monoprint before that was made into a pocket matched the actual specimen. This one also matches the specimen in this book. So it's a cow slip, and we've got vintage pages and pockets and handmade paper with plant material in it, and envelope, and this Heckle print again, green one with mosses. It's absolutely stunning. I love it. Yeah. And I'm gonna go quicker. Turtles with this vintage page, stenciling, vintage papers. The book is very similar. It's just the vintage papers are different because obviously they are original, so they are different in every book I make. Here is a big pocket from a collaged print that I made, 2 prints. A print in the actual book. Here is another of my prints on this paper, mushrooms, and here is the specimen. So it's a cow slip, so it matches my monoprint as well. And here is the card about the vintage illustration of what it is. Another of my prints. Textile pocket here that is made out of one of my prints. The Chinese paper print, and just the same sort of stuff, but same but different. Here is another of my print on that thicker canvas, Queen Anne's lace, and different color layering. And I'm gonna go a bit quicker. This pocket like you had in the book before. Here is mosses. This is pocket you can slip something into. Like the forms in nature and the colors are just so interesting. So here we have a little pocket, so I think that's what was supposed to happen with that. So I will try and sew it in this book, and if I don't manage that, I will make a journaling card out of it, so that will definitely be included. Here is a pocket. Here is a pocket. Stop. And here is an eco print. another of my prints sewn onto this journal cover. Here is Brockhouse and Ephron print made into a pocket with different forms in nature. Again, my print, flap, vintage book page, more print. There is a lot of original art in these books, prints that I made, textiles, and a lot of vintage pages. Here is another pocket from a vintage print, from an eco print that I watercolored on. Pocket from printed tracing paper, beautiful art deco floral paper, more of my prints, more of art, more art. Mushroom, vintage mushroom page, hand-dyed paper, another print from Heckle. Look at that, how stunning is that, the detail. Mosses, all sorts of pockets to tuck things, original print, and lace pocket, and this collage with this beautiful print on my own collaged paper that I printed, and more of this beautiful paper. So that's them 2 books. Thank you very much for watching and have a lovely day.